Have you ever found yourself chasing someone who barely acknowledges your existence? You keep sending messages, checking your phone, hoping, waiting, all for someone whose silence somehow screams louder than their words ever could. There's something paralyzing about that space, where rejection isn't clear but neither is love. It's like walking through a fog, desperately reaching out for something that's always 2 steps out of reach. But here's the truth you may have buried beneath layers of hope and denial. This isn't about them, it's about you, and a truth inside you that's been waiting to be heard. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And sometimes the absurd thing we do is chase people who have already left, or worse, those who were never really there. Hey there, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, I'm genuinely glad you found this space, because today's conversation could change everything. This isn't just another video about heartbreak or toxic relationships. This is a mirror, and if you're brave enough to look into it without turning away, you may finally begin to understand the most powerful relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. So get comfortable, breathe. Let this be the moment you stop distracting yourself with their silence and start listening to your own. Let's be honest, we live in a world addicted to validation. We crave it. In likes, in notifications, in the quick dopamine hits that tell us we exist, and that maybe, just maybe, we matter. But the deepest craving isn't digital, it's emotional. We want to be chosen, not just seen, wanted, not just followed, fought for. And when we don't get it, we spiral into self-doubt, as if someone else's inability to see our worth erases it. Carl Jung had a revolutionary idea, that the things we chase in others are often reflections of what we've lost or never received within ourselves. He believed that what remains unconscious within us will continue to rule our lives, disguising itself as fate. So that person you're chasing, that heartbreak you keep recycling, it's not just a relationship problem, it's a psychological echo. It's your unconscious screaming for resolution. You might know exactly what I'm talking about. You've reread old messages at 2 a.m., hoping to decode the silence. You've stared at a typing indicator that never became words. You've begged the universe to make them come back, even when your soul knew they shouldn't. And you've blamed yourself for loving too much, for being too intense, for not being enough. But here's the truth. This isn't just rejection. It's self-abandonment. It's the moment you stop choosing yourself in the hope that someone else will. And deep down, it's not even about them. It's about an old version of you. The child who felt invisible, the teenager who felt replaceable, the adult who kept collecting patterns instead of people. It's time to stop pretending this is random. It's not. That unreturned message is not an accident. That emotional starvation is not about their personality. It's a reflection, an invitation to look inward, to ask, why does this feel so familiar? Why does this pain feel like home? Because at some point in your life, love became conditional. You learned to equate affection with effort, attention with achievement, and you made an unconscious vow. If I become what they want, maybe they'll stay. That belief didn't disappear. It just changed faces. But now you have a choice. You can keep waiting, keep chasing, keep telling yourself that if you just say the right thing, do the right thing, shrink yourself into the perfect version of who they might want, they'll finally choose you. Or you can stop. You can stop lying to yourself. You can stop pretending this is love when it's really longing. You can stop calling it destiny when it's really a wound reenacting itself through you. You can stop asking, why don't they love me? And start asking, why am I abandoning myself for the illusion of love? Because Jung didn't just study pain. He illuminated the path to healing. And the first step is truth. Painful, unfiltered, uncomfortable truth. The kind that shakes you. The kind that frees you. The kind that changes everything, once and for all. And if you're still watching, it means some part of you is ready. Ready to see clearly. Ready to let go. Ready to rise. Carl Jung believed that every attraction, every longing, every emotional obsession was never really about the other person, but about something buried deep inside of us. When we chase someone who doesn't value us, we're not trying to win. Them? We're trying to win a part of ourselves that got lost long ago. The part that was unseen, the part that was unheard. The part that still waits in the dark, whispering, please don't leave me again. This is the beginning of what Jung called shadow work. The shadow is not evil. It's not dangerous. It's just forgotten. It's the part of you that felt too needy, too emotional, too much, so you locked it away. And now in your adult relationships, it finds its way back to you through the people you obsess over, through the ones who withhold, who abandon, who leave you chasing. Again, Jung wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Let that sink in, because if you've ever said, why do I always fall for the same kind of person? Or why do I keep ending up in the same situations? That's not coincidence. That's your unconscious pulling the strings. That's your inner wound replaying itself like a scratched record, over and over, until you finally notice the pattern. Let's go deeper. Imagine a child, 5, maybe 6 years old, standing at the door, watching a parent walk away. They don't understand why. Maybe the parent is distracted, maybe overwhelmed, maybe incapable of emotional intimacy. But the child doesn't know that. All they know is, they're leaving and it must be because of me. That moment becomes a core belief, a script, a silent truth etched into the bones. If I'm better, they'll stay. If I'm lovable enough, they'll come back. Now fast forward to adulthood. You're no longer 5, you're sending messages to someone who doesn't reply. You're checking their social media, hoping for breadcrumbs. You're mistaking inconsistency for mystery. And that ache in your chest, it's not just heartbreak. It's déjà vu. It's the shadow whispering, see, they're walking away again, just like before. The people we chase are not random. They are mirrors. And the pain we feel isn't because they're ignoring us. It's because they're activating something we've refused to face. So what do? We chase, we shapeshift. We become what we think they want. We lower our voice. We hide our needs. We overgive. And each time they pull away, we try harder. We beg silently. Please, pick me. Please make me enough. But here's the truth. This isn't love. It's not even connection. It's reenactment. A ritual of pain disguised as romance. Visualize this with me. Picture a child running after a parent in a dream. The parent keeps walking. The child keeps calling, wait, don't leave. But the parent never turns around. Now imagine that same child grows up. And every time someone they love pulls away, the dream returns. Only now it's real life. That's not coincidence. That's your shadow's memory. Maybe you've lived this. Maybe you've bent over backwards for someone who barely noticed. Maybe you've written paragraphs only to receive a one-word reply. Maybe you've looked in the mirror and asked, what's wrong with me? But what if nothing's wrong with you? What if the real issue is that you're trying to rewrite a story that wasn't yours to carry in the first place? This is where individuation begins, the core of Jung's teachings. It's the process of becoming whole. And that means seeing, loving, and integrating the parts of you that you've rejected. The needy parts, the emotional parts, the parts that begged to be seen and were punished for it. Because until you reclaim them, you will keep chasing people who punish you for being exactly who you are. So ask yourself now, not later, right now, why do I feel so addicted to their attention? What do I believe will happen if they finally choose me? Do I actually love them, or do I just need them to fix something I haven't fixed within? And if I stopped chasing, who would I be without the chase? These are uncomfortable questions. They don't have easy answers, but they are the door to freedom. Because the moment you realize that your obsession is a message and not a mistake, you begin to wake up. You begin to break the trance. You begin to heal. And that's what this journey is about. Not forgetting them, not pretending you don't care, but understanding what their presence or absence is trying to teach you about yourself. You don't need to beg to be loved. You don't need to shrink to be seen, and you don't need to suffer to feel worthy. You just need to come home to yourself, one truth at a time. Now here's where the cycle tightens its grip. The twist that most people never see coming. The more you chase someone, the more you begin to disappear. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, you compromise pieces of yourself. You laugh at things That aren't funny. You hold back tears that want to flow. You silence opinions that used to define you, all in the name of being liked. All for the faint possibility of being loved by someone who can't even meet you halfway. And here's where Jung's warning echoes with chilling clarity. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who they want you to be. Not who you think they need. But who you were, before the world taught you to contort your soul into someone else's mold. Let's pause for a moment and look at the cost. What do you sacrifice when you chase love that doesn't chase you back? You lose your boundaries, your standards, your energy, your voice. You lose the ability to tell the difference between real connection and emotional starvation. You start living on crumbs and calling it a feast. And in doing so, you betray the most sacred relationship in your life, the one between you and your inner truth. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Realizing that the chase isn't romantic, it's erosive. That molding yourself into the fantasy version of what someone might want is just another way of abandoning your core. It feels like effort, but it's actually erasure. Now, let's bring in an image. Visualize a magnet. It doesn't pull everything toward it, only what matches its frequency. The more desperately you pull, the more you repel what isn't meant for you. And the cruel irony, the more you try to earn someone's love, the more they begin to feel like your savior, your prize, your oxygen. But they're not. They're just a person, flawed, fragmented, possibly lost, just like you. Desperation doesn't attract love. It attracts imbalance, obsession, anxiety. Authenticity is what draws real connection. But you can't be authentic if you're constantly shape-shifting to be enough for someone else's approval. So let's get brutally honest. When you chase, you are not just reaching out to another person, you are making a statement to your own psyche. You are silently whispering, "I am not whole without them." That belief is a lie, but it's a believable one, because it's wrapped in the illusion of romance, in the story that love is supposed to hurt, that if it feels like a battle, it must be worth fighting for. But love, real love, doesn't require you to abandon yourself to feel chosen. In fact, real love begins where self-abandonment ends. Now let's talk about the shift, the one mindset change that flips the entire dynamic. It's this: I no longer chase, I attract by being true to myself. Let that sit, because it's not just a slogan, it's a psychological rewire. When you stop running after validation, you allow space for alignment. You stop living on emotional credit, hoping one day they'll pay you back with affection, and you begin to live from presence, from clarity, from power. Imagine you're holding a heavy bag in each hand, one labeled their attention, the other my self-worth. As long as you keep clutching the first, you can't fully grasp the second. It's not about dropping everything and pretending you don't care. It's about choosing what you'll carry forward and deciding, and with quiet certainty, that your worth doesn't live in someone else's pocket. Now picture this: a woman standing in front of a mirror. She's no longer crying. She's no longer refreshing her screen. She's no longer rehearsing texts she'll never send. Instead, she's still calm, whole. Not because they came back, but because she came back to herself. That image? It's not fiction. It's possible. It's waiting on the other side of this painful unraveling, but only if you stop running. So, here's what I want you to ask yourself today. What part of me feels like I'm not enough unless someone else sees me? Where did I learn that love has to be earned through pain? What would it feel like to choose myself? Not in theory, but in action, because choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred, and it's the only way to ever be truly chosen by someone else, not as a fantasy, but as a full reality. So what did Jung really mean when he spoke of letting go? It wasn't about apathy. It wasn't about bitterness or detachment from life. It was about surrender. Not surrender to someone else's power, but surrender to truth. Letting go, in its highest form, is not weakness. It's not defeat. It's strength in stillness. It's the quiet revolution that begins when you say, "I don't need to beg to be loved," because you don't. You never did. You see, holding on feels active. It feels like doing something, reaching out, checking again, analyzing every silence like a code waiting to be cracked. It gives you the illusion of control. But it's not control. It's captivity. And letting go feels like falling at first, like jumping into a void. But the fall is an illusion too. What actually happens when you let go is you rise. You rise out of the delusion that someone else holds your worth in their hands. You rise out of the story that your love has to be proven through suffering. You rise out of the unconscious loop that says, if they finally see me, I'll finally see myself. No, that was never their job, it was always yours, and Jung knew this. He spoke often about projections, about how we place pieces of ourselves onto others, especially in love. When we're drawn to someone, it's not just about who they are, it's about what they reflect. We project our hopes, our wounds, our longings onto them, and then beg them to heal what they were never responsible for. So when they pull away, it feels like abandonment. But what's really being abandoned is the illusion that they complete you, the illusion that they validate you, the illusion that their attention can fix your past. Letting go is the sacred act of calling those projections back home. It's looking in the mirror and saying, I withdraw the power I gave you to define me. Because when you stop projecting your worth outward, something incredible happens. You see yourself clearly for the first time. Picture this. You've been holding a rope. On the other end is someone walking away. The tighter you grip, the more it burns. The more you try to pull them back, the more pain you feel in your own hands. And then, in one small moment of clarity, you open your fingers. You let the rope slide through, and suddenly the burning stops. Your hands are red, yes, maybe even scarred, but they are yours again, free. That's what emotional release feels like. Not erasing love, not pretending it never mattered, but choosing your peace over your performance, choosing truth over illusion, choosing the self that no longer wants to convince, only to be. Because love is not a transaction. It's not a trade for perfection or silence or shrinking. If someone's love depends on how small you can make yourself, that's not love. That's control. And Jung would say that the soul doesn't thrive in control, it thrives in integration, in honesty, in freedom. So ask yourself now, what am I really holding on to? Is it the person or the idea of what I thought they could give me? Am I staying because of what they are, or because of what I'm afraid I'll be without them? Is this love, or is this the echo of a wound looking for a cure in the same place it was created? These are not questions to be answered with your head. They are to be felt in your body, your chest, your breath, your silence, because healing doesn't come from more thinking. It comes from truth, from saying to yourself, finally, fully, I let go. Not because I didn't care, but because I do, and I will no longer lie to myself about what hurts me. This is how you reclaim your power. Not through anger, not through revenge, but through clarity. You stop sending messages that echo into nothingness. You stop waiting for a knock that never comes. You stop asking, why not me? And start saying, even if it's not them, I still choose me. Letting go is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new one where your worth isn't up for debate, where your love isn't a test, where your peace is no longer held hostage by someone else's absence. You do not need to be chosen to matter. You do not need to be chased to be real. You do not need to keep hurting to prove you feel deeply. You simply need to let the truth settle into your bones, that the person ignoring you is not your destiny, they're your mirror. And what they reflect is the part of you that's finally ready to be seen by you. If this message is stirring something inside you, don't ignore it. That discomfort, that heaviness in your chest, that pull to keep listening even though it hurts, that's not just emotion. That's your shadow finally speaking. The part of you that's been silenced by years of chasing, pleasing, performing, it's waking up. And it's asking for something you've never given it before, your presence. Not the kind of presence you give to others when you're trying to be liked, loved, or chosen. I'm talking about the sacred kind, the presence you give when you sit with your pain, look it in the eye and say, I'm not leaving you. So if anything in this journey has felt like a mirror to your own experience, it's because it is. We all carry stories we didn't write. We all walk around with echoes of rejection, abandonment, and silence reverberating through our choices. But the difference between staying stuck in the cycle and stepping into healing is one simple decision: to face yourself. So right now, if you feel ready, if you feel the trembling in your chest that says, "It's time," then pause. Right now, and do something sacred, not for anyone else, just for you. Take a breath, put your hand on your heart, and say silently or out loud, "I choose me, I choose truth. I choose to stop lying to myself, even if it breaks the illusion I've clung to, even if it hurts, because on the other side of that truth is freedom." This is not about blaming anyone. It's not about pretending you never cared. It's about transformation, about becoming the person who no longer waits to be picked, because they've already picked themselves. Someone who no longer begs for breadcrumbs, because they know they are the banquet. Someone who no longer fears being alone, because solitude no longer feels like abandonment. It feels like wholeness. So if this video has met you at the right time, don't let the moment slip away. Let's make this real, not just something you hear and forget. Click the like button now, not for me, but as a declaration, a signal to your unconscious that you're choosing healing, that you're no longer performing your pain in silence. You're expressing it, releasing it, making peace with it, and in doing so becoming someone new, someone who doesn't chase, someone who doesn't shrink, someone who doesn't wait for permission to love themselves fully. Hit that like button as an act of reclaiming your story. And now I want to hear from you, because healing is not just personal, it's communal. When you share your truth, even a little piece of it, you give someone else permission to stop hiding. So tell me in the comments, what are you ready to let go of today? Is it a person who's already gone, but who still lives in your mind? Is it the need to be constantly validated? Is it the story that says you're not enough unless someone else says so? Let it out. Let it be messy. Let it be honest. Because when you write your truth, even in a single sentence, you begin to interrupt the old narrative. You begin to anchor yourself in a new one. And here's what I promise: I read every story, I feel every word. And this space, this community, isn't about pretending to be perfect. It's about being human, raw, real, awake. You're not alone in this. You never were. There are thousands, maybe millions of us who have been taught to chase, taught to perform, taught to wait, and who are just now learning how to stop. This channel, Archemind, was created for that awakening. For the ones who are tired of lying to themselves, for the ones who want to go deeper than just healing the surface, for those brave enough to walk through the shadow and come out whole. So if that's you, welcome. You've found your place. Now, take one final breath in this part of the journey. Let the truth settle, let the grief soften, let the light in. And when you're ready, not perfectly but honestly, share it. Tell me what you're ready to release, and tell me what rising up will look like for you, because when you speak it, you begin to live it. Letting go isn't giving up, it's growing up. It's stepping out of the illusions we've carried like armor, and realizing they were never protection, only prisons. It's no longer pretending that if we just say the right thing, look the right way, act the right role, we'll finally be loved. Letting go means shedding every story that told us we had to perform to be seen, and every version of ourselves that was born out of fear rather than truth. Because the truth is this: the person who keeps ignoring you is not your destiny. They're your mirror, and what they reflect is not rejection, it's revelation. They show you the parts of yourself still aching to be validated, still afraid to be alone, still hoping that someone else will fill the hole only you can enter. But once you see that, really see it, everything shifts. You stop chasing, not because you don't care, but because you do. You care about your peace. You care about your dignity. You care about your time, your energy, your soul. You stop chasing because you realize that anything that asks you to leave yourself behind to be loved isn't love. It's a lie. And when you stop lying to yourself, you start becoming someone else entirely. Someone rooted, someone whole, someone who no longer waits to be chosen because they've already returned to the one who was forgotten all along, themselves. This is what Carl Jung meant when he spoke of individuation, of becoming whole, not perfect, whole. Not what society wants, not what a partner demands, but what your soul remembers. And that memory begins to surface the moment you stop pretending and start listening. Listening to the grief, listening to the rage, listening to the silence that used to terrify you, and learning that it was never emptiness. It was space. Space for you to come back home. You are not here to be consumed. You are not here to be edited. You are not here to be tolerated, occasionally loved and frequently overlooked. You are here to remember that love, true love, begins with truth. And the deepest truth you'll ever face is that the love you've been searching for outside of yourself has always been waiting inside of you. So now I leave you with this. Stop chasing. Start choosing. Choose your peace over their presence. Choose your truth over their attention. Choose your healing over your habit. Choose your future over your familiar pain. Become someone who no longer waits for a reply, because they're too busy replying to their soul. Become someone who no longer needs closure, because they've decided to close the door themselves. Become someone who no longer watches the door, because they've remembered there's a window behind them wide open, filled with light, waiting to be walked through. This is your moment, right here, right now, not tomorrow, not when they text back, not when they finally see what they lost. Number now. You've already been through the fire. Don't keep sitting in the ashes. Rise. And if you feel that flame inside you, even if it's small, protect it, feed it, speak to it, let it grow, because that fire is your becoming, your returning, your truth. If this video touched you, if even a part of it cracked something open, I invite you to take the next step with us. Subscribe to the Archemind channel, not as a passive viewer, but as someone choosing to become, someone willing to dig deeper, someone brave enough to live wide awake. Hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next, because this journey is only beginning. And don't keep this to yourself. Share this video with someone who's stuck in the loop, who needs to hear what you just heard. Not as advice, as a mirror, as a lifeline. Because the moment we stop hiding, we start healing. Together. Thank you for staying until the end, for listening, for feeling, for being here. And remember this, not just today, but every time you forget, the secret is always within you.